Alrighty guys, welcome to another episode of the Coach's Corner. It's your host Todd Pierce here, and look, today we've got an awesome guest. He's a mate of mine, Dane Christisen, and Dane has a sensational company, a very successful company which does mental health and personal development for both current and former service personnel called Survive to Thrive Nation. Now look, I'm not going to go deep on Dane's story and what he does. I'm just going to let you actually, introduce yourself and kind of go through it yourself, mate. So talk to us.
Actually, first of all, thanks for having me here. Todd and I have known each other since around 2016. And one of the things I want to talk about today is about visualization. If you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. And obviously everything around you started with just a thought, and including, the screen that you're looking on was just a thought. And now it's a reality, just like my company and Todd's. And I remember Todd telling me about what he was going to achieve, and including this podcast. So it's pretty special to be here today and to be next to a mate that's done incredible things and turn his vision into a reality as well.
So for the people watching and listening, what's your backstory, mate? So what's kind of brought you here to actually do what you're doing now?
Cool. So I'm a former soldier. I served in East Timor and Iraq, and I was an infantry soldier. And on my return back, I realised that we're trained for war, but we're not trained to come home. I found assistance really hard to get at that time, and when I did, it just didn't feel relatable to the experiences that I had. I ended up getting into personal development at that time to overcome my own adversities of post-traumatic stress, anxiety, depression, and I had a really bad experience from transitioning from military to civilian life, losing my purpose, losing a sense of camaraderie, losing a mission in life. The list goes on, and the support network that was there, and very quickly the wheels started to fall off. So I went on a personal development journey, and I started to realise that there was just certain things that weren't coached in the military mental health industry, and I thought this is just crucial information that needs to be set out there. In particular, the indoctrination of military service and how it affects our behaviour outside that environment. So long story short, I started to write down a program at the time for myself. And when I'd completed that program, it was almost immediate that I had this vision that this was going to be the biggest mental health program in the world. And I would say it is. We're the world's first online evidence-based mental health and transitioning success personal development program. We provide 24-hour access to peer support. So veterans that can recover through the program, we give them a purpose to turn their pain into a purpose to help other veterans survive and thrive. So it's just been a phenomenal and rewarding experience. We landed our first government contract with Open Arms Veterans and Family Counselling Service, and we absolutely have blown that out of the park with the success of that experience. They had originally given us 300 veterans to put on, and the supply and demand was huge, and we ended up putting 500 on, and now we're tendering for a full government contract, which will be thousands. And look, I see this as a compulsory program. We are trained for war. We're not trained to come home. So I believe that prevention is better than a cure. And, it's around 46.8% of veterans experience a mental health concern within the first 12 months of discharge.
Yeah, wow.
So nearly half.
Yep.
So nearly half. And I want to be able to prevent that. And I believe that that education is the way, and that this program is the answer.
Do you find that, obviously, the people that you are working with and helping in your coaching, obviously the transitioning part of it, do you find that they're open to this? Do they know that there's an issue, or what's that kind of like for those personnel?
Look, I think for anybody in a world, a resilient world, in particular the military world, it's a very resilient world. As much as we want to say that stigma doesn't exist anymore and that we've put it out there, it's still hard for people to want to put their hand up and put it out there for help. So what we do is we don't make personal development a depressing situation, like in the way that people has put out the woe is me sort of advertisements. That's not what we do. We make it inspirational, we make it motivational. We let people know that you don't even need to be suffering with a mental health concern to be able to increase your resilience and start to reach your full potential. And personal development isn't just about developing in our mental health, it's really about developing in our mindset for success in our life. And success at the end of the day is happiness. And who doesn't want to be happy? And who doesn't want to live a successful life, a rewarding life, and a powerful life? So, I always say you're going to be thinking, so you're going to be thinking anyway, so you might as well think big. And I say to people, look, this program is going to help you not just with your mental health, it's going to help you in your relationships, your family, the success that you want outside the military environment, and for those that are still serving, your success within the military environment. So, we are opening the doors quicker than what things were happening when I was going through the situation. Like I waited till I was in DEFCON 1. I waited till I had a full mental breakdown before I reached out and got help. But I see young veterans now opening up the door a lot quicker and understanding that this is, mental health is a normal thing, but, increasing our mindset and reaching our full potential is something that we should be striving for in our life anyway. So do you find there's, for people that are going through it, that obviously are, obviously former and current service personnel, do you find that there's sometimes a bit of a wait to get the help? Look, that's a given.
Not with you. I mean, before you.
So I'll give you an example. When I reached out for help, I was at DEFCON 1, and I was given 10 counselling sessions, which took a couple of months before I got those counselling sessions to get in there, right? Yeah, and then I had to wait another few weeks, and by then I would unravelled again. Yeah. So I was at the starting point, I felt every single time I had a counselling session. By the time I got diagnosed with my condition, which should have happened immediately, it took around 2 years.
Wow.
Right? 2 years before I could help. I was having more sick days than I've ever had in my entire life, and I was struggling. And then when finally they said to me, this is your diagnosis, I thought, great. When can I get some help and find out what I'm going through? A PTSD course that was not relatable to my experience took 16 weeks. So during that time, there was people that were just ending up in the hospital suicidal. They were breaking down. So, what I did when I said, look, right, that's it. I've not just created a solution, and I've not just made this a relatable and very, very powerful program. I'm going to turn it into an online course. We need to be in a state of innovation. And, recently by working with Open Arms, not only have we innovated the online course, we've innovated the way that we collect data.
Yep.
So they used to send out the survey form. So before you do, to become a clinically proven program, before they do the course, they do a survey, and it shows where they're at in their mental health.
Yep.
Anxiety, depression, lifestyle, happiness, all of those things. Then, as soon as you complete a program, you do that again.
Yep.
To check the sustainability of what that program did, you have to do that survey again between a month or 6 months after. That was a paper form. They couldn't get people to hand them back. It was hard to collect data.
Yep.
So they came to us, we digitalised it, and we've been getting, I think it's around 92% return rates in our data. So,
nice.
Look, we've changed the game. Like when you call up Survive to Thrive Nation and you say, look, I'm struggling with my mental health, not only do we offer you the support through Open Arms counselling, like immediately, you go onto the course immediately, and you immediately get peer support. So veterans that have already gone through what you're going through or had a similar experience, they're able to give you a call and say, brother, I've been there, or sister, I've been there, and be there for each other immediately. So you've got that support.
Yep.
You're able to vent out the anxiety that you've got. But not only that, these guys are actually going through an 8-module course that does everything from mindset, meditation, acceptance, mindfulness, goal setting, morning routine, exercise, nutrition. They also understand how to articulate and help people reprocess the stress that they're going through from the military service. So these guys are fully skilled and equipped from the program to be able to assist and lead others through that challenge.
Yep. And it's funny, not even funny, it's super important, but the community aspect is huge.
The community is huge.
And you probably already know this, but for those listening, like I'm assuming too, like obviously when you are in the military, for example, there's a sense of purpose.
Yes.
And then when you leave the military, the purpose is gone.
100%.
So then you've got the guys in your community that then reach out and help other people going through a tough time, and then they get purpose.
Yes.
So it's like this positive reinforcement.
Exactly. Well, what we call our program is the GPS to success.
Nice.
When you lose your purpose,
Yep.
you lose your bearing, you lose your way. Now, if you want to picture this in a way that you're driving a car and all of a sudden you go off track, what's going to be happen if you can't find your way back onto the track? It's going to exacerbate stress because you're lost. The human mind needs direction or it's lost. And that purpose is the direction. So I want to talk about happiness, if that's okay.
Yeah, cool, dude.
Yeah, cool. So part of the program, we teach people how to rebuild themselves in what I call the 6 key areas of happiness. Okay, so number 1 is we call spirituality. Now, we get veterans all the time saying, I'm not spiritual. And I'd say, well, don't you have the Anzac spirit? Or you would say, I'm going to do this to lift morale and lift your spirits. So we already knew before we looked at things of mental and the mind that we live for a purpose above ourselves. So what we do is in the spiritual end of it is say we're going to create a purpose for you above and beyond. You know, we're giving you something to live for.
Yep.
That's what we say at the end of the day. When you give someone something to live for, it's very hard for them to want to commit suicide because even if they're in pain, they've got something to get up for. Number 2 is we call it mental and emotional. So people say, what's the difference between a spiritual goal and a mental and emotional goal? Well, one is what you do for the mind and emotions. The other is what you do for the soul. So your spirit is for the soul, mental and emotional side, your thought process, your emotional state, your mindset, all of those kind of things, how you deal with stress. The next is what we call our physical self, right? So not everyone wants to have a 6-pack and be ripped, but everyone wants to, you know, have a look at that person in the mirror each day and feel proud about, you know, stepping outside.
I gave up on the 6-pack, mate, after the second kid.
Yeah, look, he didn't even have the baby.
Hey, I was in rapport with my wife, man.
I was going to say. So there's that's the physical side. But you know what you do for your body, you do for your mind, and then what we look at is community. And now you said the importance of community. Well, let me just tell you something about the human brain, right? The human brain, in regards to giving and taking, doesn't know the difference. So if you're not giving value to a community, you're not receiving it in return. Now, perfect mental health is a sense of well-being, confidence, and self-esteem, right? How are you going to feel confident if you're not feeling valuable? So community is being able to share your experiences, help people through their experiences. Being a part of a community is extremely important for our mental health. So at the end of the day, that's where you're going to find value. And the last one is money. People say money doesn't make you happy. I say, have you ever been bloody broke? Our community is absolutely fucking dying because of financial stress.
Yep.
We have stress because we're waiting on DVA to assist in some ways, and they're starting to build their programs quicker and better than they've ever been before now to be able to assist veterans quicker. We have multiple ESOs, external service organisations, going out trying to raise money to help veterans because they're in financial stress. Money, at the end of the day, if you don't have it, is going to cause you a major amount of stress. So I'm not saying that you need to go out and make yourself a millionaire, but you have to be able to learn the stress of money to be able to get yourself into a situation that you're not going to experience that stress. You got to understand the importance of being in a state of freedom, because if you don't, it will catch up with you and disaster will strike and you will find out about it. So we look at those 6 key areas of happiness and we build people up to the purpose that they feel is going to make them happy in those 6 key areas.
Yep.
And that's just part of the program. There's so much more to it.
Oh, it's very, very powerful. Did you find, obviously in March, the world was flipped on its head, right? Did you find there were some issues that have come from lockdowns and stuff like that that are affecting the community?
We actually got inundated over COVID. Funny thing is, though, we talked to a lot of veterans and they said, this is great. They're like, you know, I hate crowds. I hate going out there and being like, to them, Ghost Town was fantastic for their post-traumatic stress. They were like, I've never been more chilled in my life. But there were other people that hadn't experienced mental health, and then they were during that period of time. So behind the podcast camera just over here is little Liam, and he's been hot on the phones every day. He's a client consultant for us, and he talks to veterans on the front line each day. And he's just had an incredible experience of getting to know veterans, but in particular, he has been really inundated on the phones with the rest of the team because Yeah, look, during COVID-19, of course, everything just increased.
Exactly, yeah. And you go through obviously those 6 key areas there of happiness. So what are some other key elements of your program that you see as a massive impact on the lives of the people that go through it?
What the biggest impact on the individual?
Yeah.
Look, we've had full recoveries. That's the biggest impact. So we've had veterans that, in particular, Matt Logie, who's now an ambassador for us, he'd done 20 years of service.
Yep.
20 years of service, and he was going through 2 years of psychiatry. They said that he wasn't recovering and that they were going to have to discharge him from the military. Imagine that. That's been your entire career, your entire life. You don't know anything else. And then all of a sudden you're faced with being kicked out of your career. And he came through the program. Not only did he get a full recovery, he was fully deployable again.
Wow.
We have another guy that goes and does talks for us, Zane. Zane came up to Darwin when we launched with the government. And he's Navy, and I think he's done 20-something years. And Zane, he was actually out of the military, had PTSD, went through the program, had a full recovery. They brought him back into the military, and he's been deployed over the last 2 years. So that's the biggest impact that we get when. But more than that, we get guys that just come onto it, and then they just say, my life is phenomenally better because I've learnt the skills. Look, in the military, you fight a war. When you come home, you fight a war within. When you're fighting a war, you're a very well-oiled operator at what to do in very high-stress environments. But when you're fighting the war within, we just make sure that everyone's a very well-oiled operator at overcoming the adversities they're going through to be able to get onto the fight of their life. So,
from memory, a part of your program is about bringing structure and routines into place, right? So can you talk to us about that?
So every morning, the Survive to Thrive lifestyle is you have to get up and so you get an 8-module online course, okay? I can run through that. But when you get to module 6, you get a phone app. In the phone app, every morning you wake up, you write down 3 things you're grateful for. Now, we all know about states of gratefulness in personal development and the importance of feeling grateful every day. But what people also need to understand is what that also does in regards to stress. We're not thinking about the things we could have, we should have, what's going on. We're not thinking about the things that were in the past that depress us. In the present right now, we're thinking about what we can be grateful for, what we're happy for, what we're here right now. It takes away all of that, and we get ourselves into a place of the present. The second thing is you watch inspiration. So an inspirational video will come on, and then you watch that inspiration. Now, inspiration has 3 characteristics on the human mind: transcendence, evocation, and motivation. So if you're sitting there in a state of depression, major depression, in the mornings you've got low serotonin in your brain. So you wake up, right, and you don't want to get up. All of the negative thought processes are coming through your mind. What's the point? I've been through this before. I'm exhausted. I'm sick of this, and all of those things that come into a depressed state of mind. But all of a sudden, with this, you transcend out of it. It evokes a stamina, and that stamina is for you to move. So by listening to motivational speakers each day, it also creates a sense of belief in the human body. What wasn't possible is now possible. So then you get up. Now, everyone already has a vision by the time they're there in the program. Their vision in their 6 key areas of happiness. So you get up and then you go and train. Now, it's important to keep your heart rate between 120 to 160 for approximately 25 minutes. And the reason for that is it increases endorphins and lowers cortisol. So endorphins is our happy hormone and cortisol is our stress hormone. So that's what we want to do. And then lastly, we meditate. Whether it's 5 minutes, an hour, that's completely up to you. And we all know the benefits of meditation, all right? Becoming present, clarity, lowering stress. The list goes on. It's unbelievable. So you've got that opportunity to do that. Now, this should take you in a morning routine about an hour. To an hour and a half. I call it an hour of self-love, really. And then you go out and you start your day. Now, because you've done the 8-module course and you've become a well-oiled operator in your mental health, no matter what adversities are going on in the day, you know how to process it, you know how to overcome it, and get on with your life. Adapt and overcome, as we call it in the military. So our morning routine with our team, everyone has to do it. So everyone that works for us, they have to do that morning routine with us in the morning. And it's particularly very important to be able to start your day in that manner.
Well, absolutely, and it's obviously a big part. Anyone in business knows that your routines make up everything, right? And if you don't have a routine in place to focus your mind to stay on track, you're not going to be able to maintain success, right?
Right.
So I know you have got some good thoughts on maintaining success. So
Yes. So number one is my team needs to know our vision. They can be asked our vision out of nowhere. What's the vision of the company? What's the mission of the company? So our vision is to be the number one online, worldwide mental health and transitioning success program for current and former service families. Our mission, they train them to go to war, we train them to come home. Our mission is to be a compulsory program before leaving defence.
Nice.
Prevention is better than a cure. So there's the vision, there's the mission. Then what we do each week is we start that vision with our KPIs, our key point indicators. What do we need to achieve this week? What are the tasks that we have? Let's get our primary tasks ready and let's gun for those. So every step of the way until we reach that vision. But then you have to be able to get re-inspired once you reach that. Okay, well now we're worldwide, now what? Well, let's build something else. But let's maintain this, and we've got to continue that. And the biggest thing for me is, you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. You have to teach people that work for you the importance of vision. How many corporate companies have a vision statement and you can walk up to their staff and say, what's the vision statement? No one would be able to repeat it. That doesn't happen with my staff. Everyone can repeat it. The goal to maintaining success is having a very, very clear vision. And then that is your GPS to success.
100%. And that vision has to obviously be big, right? Not a weak little lame vision, but a big, sexy vision that inspires you to get up, that makes you want to push through the hard times. You
are going to be thinking anyways, so think big.
You're going to be thinking anyway, you might as well think the right bloody way as well. So in regards to, because you're working with, there's only some people on here that are coaches, some people that are not, but like you're working in a very, very important area, right? You're dealing with real people with real problems. Not that anyone who watching this isn't dealing with real problems, but like, people that have been over in war, they've experienced some horrendous things and you're helping them get back on track. So there's a big element of, I guess, overcoming adversity and challenges there. So walk us through that, because obviously in yourself too, like you've been over, you've seen some things.
Well, it's important to have a holistic approach in what we do. So the personal development side is a big thing, but people still have to get closure on their states of trauma, and they need to understand that they're safe now, and they have to overcome all sorts of complex situations. Moral injury. If someone has a mate die next to them and they feel as though it should have been them, or it could have been them, or they had a situation happen where civilians may have got killed in a conflict, and they have to be able to process and deal with those states of war. So that side of the game is important in our game, to work with our psychiatrists, so that they will work in the treatment area and then we'll work in the personal development area. And I think that they need to be combined. Too often we do the side of the treatment and then someone goes out and then they relapse with their condition, they go straight back. So they need to be able to continue to push forward with their personal development after it, to be able to maintain those results.
I remember you saying that a couple of years back, and it was fantastic. It's like you've got the counsellors, the psychologists and psychiatrists, and then you've got you come in here and you're the personal growth mindset, everything else, 100%. And that combined together creates this a wonderful result.
Exactly. And look, one of the things that got me was when I seen that number from Gallipoli Medical Research Foundation, more than 45% or 46.8% from memory, of defence members leaving the defence have a mental health concern within the first 12 months of discharge. My thing was this, is that we're incredible operators. We are trained unbelievably. The things that we do is beyond inspirational. And the things that we're willing to do, like not many people will sit there and say, if that happened, I'd kill, or if that happened, I'd die for this person, whatever. But then it comes down to it, and does that person really have that courage? Well, I can tell you this right now, the courage that you're trained to have within the military is very, very real.
Yes.
So to have someone in your workforce, someone that works for you with that kind of mindset is important to grow a company. Former military members make incredible employees. But in saying that, I don't want them falling on their ass 12 months into their discharge.
Yep.
So for me, it's like it's crucial to have our program. It's crucial to have it before you leave defence.
Mm-hmm.
So so that we're not going to continue to have this problem. I want to just crush those numbers. 46.8%. You know, I realise that I have to be realistic in it, but I believe we can get it under 10% easily.
Yep.
Easily.
You know, look, we're a little bit left centre here, but my brain kind of went there anyway. And we'll try not to get too political, but whatever. You spoke about a couple of things. One, you spoke about courage. Two, spoken about resilience. And, you know, what we're seeing in the world right now is a lot of absence of resilience, an absence of courage. You've got people that are offended at anything.
Yes.
You've got people that literally, they just run away and cry. They cancel people. Like this cancel culture. It drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Like,
I love that you're bringing this up.
Man, it shits me to tears, right? Like, I did a podcast down the Gold Coast a couple of weeks ago. The entire hour and a half was on the three things we don't talk about, right? Race, politics, and religion.
Yeah.
But, like, this is important conversations, and I kind of went there because we're talking about courage.
Yeah.
There was a professor in the US, whenever he does, he teaches his students, he says he teaches, like, race stuff. And like, he goes, you know, if you were alive... And obviously, you know, a lot of universities are quite left-leaning, right? They're quite progressive. So they're all about, you know, anti-racism and stuff like that, very leftist in nature, which, you know, the left has its place, so does the right. But, like, he goes, if you were alive in the 1700s, would you have been a slave owner? And all the kids in the class, right, they go, no, of course not. That's a wrong thing to do. He goes, okay, so you're saying that in the 1700s, and that was the norm, that you would have stood against the grain and went against what everybody else was. You would have risked your family, risked your reputation, risked being killed just to stand up for someone else. And the students are like, yes, absolutely, we definitely would. And he goes, in what way right now in your life are you doing anything that's against the grain?
Right.
And it hit me because so many people get behind what's happening at the bandwagon.
When you're a business person too, you have to stand up against the world at the start. When I started personal development, I had psychologists and psychiatrists tell me that I was unethical and I shouldn't have been in this space because I don't have a clinical background. Yet I had overcome PTSD and their clients were still suffering. And I'd found answers that were working, and yet I was getting told that I had doors slammed in my face left, right and centre. At the time, I wasn't even an insured company. I didn't really know what I was doing when I first started. I was like, I found these answers and now I want to coach them.
Yes.
But I didn't even know I was a personal development coach. I didn't actually know. I was
trying to find.
Yeah. I had veterans out there, right? So I created a company where I spent, I had to refinance my house, spend more than $250,000 developing my online course and program, all completely under my own risk, all but completely in my own vision and my own belief that this was going to be a success. Then I didn't want veterans to have to pay for it, so I had to create all of the events around it, and I had to work with all of the ESOs who had their own courses and their own programs and didn't want to promote us. And then I had to work all the way through to the federal government and get my program clinically trialed, clinically tested, go through everything all on my own. Door after door would slam and I'd just be that wolf at that door, kicking it back open. I'm here. You got to use this. You got to use it. And it took courage beyond anything that I've ever experienced in business. Number one that I think people need to understand is don't be a sheep. Honestly, believe in your instincts. Believe in your instincts, not people. If you believe in something, you want to do something, you have to get up there and do it and stand by it. Believe in everything you're doing and have the courage to go for it.
Critical thinking mind.
Yeah.
Critical thinking is what I see is missing.
Yeah.
Because people see something, they're headline readers.
Yes.
They read that, they repost it, then it circulates in this little fucking echo chamber, and people are becoming more dumb. No, I'm sorry, guys, but it's fucking true. I'm going to call it out because it shits me to tears. People are becoming dumb, and it's not that they're not intelligent. It's just that they're in their echo chamber. They hear only what their self-serving bias, right?
We really did go left field on this, didn't we?
It is, but it's called a self-serving bias, right? It's where you see something that matches your narrative and you exclude things that don't, but that leaves you like the sheep going down to the slaughter hill. Where are we going? Where are we going? I don't know, but Larry's going there. Must be good. Yeah. It's like, no, you're going to get slaughtered, fool.
Yeah.
So, like, and what you said there too, which I really want to just pull back because I thought it was really important. Like, when you first went through it, you had psychologists telling you, you shouldn't be doing this.
Yes.
But as you said, you'd been through it. You'd been through real lived experience.
Yes.
You'd healed yourself.
And this is the thing, is that now in our space, I've been calling it personal development and lived experience coaching, and I've had peer support. Now the government have peer workers. They did that. I was doing this before they even had the thought of it. I've been doing this for years before that. Yep. And now I'm so excited. Their peer workers are phenomenal. Imagine getting the opportunity, instead of just seeing a counsellor, but the opportunity to go see another veteran who now has counselling behind them, and you're going to see a lived experience coach.
So good.
That's incredible. Yep. So the government is now doing that. Open Arms Veterans and Family Counselling Service, I want to say it has been phenomenal working with you guys. We absolutely love you. And it's just been incredible. I also want to say too, I want to do a shout out to an association called Young Veterans Association.
Yep.
So Young Veterans Association are doing absolutely incredible work around Australia. This year they put 110 veterans on the program. Okay, and we've got some of those veterans not only just going through their recovery process and mindset and training and just changing their lives phenomenally. Some of these guys have reached out and now becoming coaches and mentors through us. So a huge shout out to young veterans as well. We want to say what you guys have done this year with these 110 veterans alone, and I know that we're staying in partnership to continue to help change and save the lives of many other veterans. We couldn't do it without you guys. So we have a government organisation, which is Open Arms Veterans and Family Counselling Service, who gave us 500 people to put on this year, and we've filled up those positions now. And then obviously we have a non-government organisation. Now some people, they just don't want to use government anymore. They just don't want to go through that. And we've proven that by 110 people saying, I'd rather go through this door. Yeah. So by having both parties, having the government and external service organisations and us working together, we're able to help everybody spread across the board. So huge thank you to all the organisations that do support us. We literally could not do what we do without you. We just couldn't. So lots of love to you.
Yeah, that's freaking awesome. And one thing I want to add to this too, for those that obviously are trying to build something and do something, and you got people saying, don't do that, you're stupid, what you're doing is wrong. You have to not listen, because think about what Dane just said in the last 5 minutes. As a result of him pushing so hard, you've now had this massive shift, right? As I said, there's peer workers, there's all these changes. Yeah. As a result of you being a hound at the door and pushing and pushing and pushing, and people will want to cancel you, right? Yeah. Especially more and more now as we become more and more intolerant of anything that doesn't match mainstream narratives.
And the more that they tried to quiet me down, the louder I got. So if a door would shut on me, I would go to the media and then I would talk more about my program. We ended up having a minister, Dan Christisen at the time, basically challenged on the ABC about why you're not using this program, and why these veterans feel as though that they needed to provide this program because it's not. And because of Dan, Minister Christisen, he flew me down to Canberra. We ended up having a chat. He said, Dane, this really hits a transitioning sweet spot. He ended up getting transitioned out of that job, I think, into education from memory. And then we got very lucky. So we got Minister Darren Chester. Again, I got flown down to Canberra. I pitched to them, and Secretary Liz Cosson ended up saying, love the program, love the idea, let's get you into contract. And we went into contract with Open Arms. So Darren Chester and Liz Cosson, another big thank you to those guys for believing in me, because what we're doing now is we're actually changing the world. We're changing the world of veterans' mental health. And I said that we would, and you see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand.
Have the vision, have the belief, be a hound at the fucking door.
Yes.
When people say no, you just keep going.
Get louder. Like the amount of times I was on TV and I was challenging, the government to say that this course is needed and this program's needed, until finally people started to listen. But it was honestly getting psychiatrists and psychologists who had been in the game a long time for them to turn around and say, this is the program that trains veterans to come home. And we had some really high up, psychiatrists that looked over and reviewed the course. And we ended up going through a review called Phoenix Australia Centre of Post-Traumatic Mental Health. Mm-hmm. And they did a review and they said that this program fills a gap in the veteran community. And once that occurred, they were like, okay, well, we can't let people slip through the cracks if there's a bridge here. So we are that bridge and we're killing it.
Nice, man. I'm just watching the time, so I'm going to be cognizant of the time. So as we have to wrap this up, if you were to kind of give people that are watching or listening, obviously two people in mind, right? Obviously anyone that does have any family that are service personnel, but also anyone that's having mental health issues themselves, just some tips.
Yep. Okay. Well, number one, first tip is don't suffer in silence, okay? You see it all the time. It ain't weak to speak, or what is it? Speaking up is manning up. Reach out. Do not suffer alone, okay? A problem shared is a problem halved. You can reach out to us at www.survivetothrivenation.com and just inquire through us, and one of our friendly client consultants will give you a call and see where you're at and see how we can assist and help you. The second part after that is be prepared to take a lot of personal responsibility at where you're at. If you're in a state of blame, the reason why you are the way that you are, it's not that at all. We are the way that we are because of the thoughts that we think, the feelings we feel, the beliefs that we exhibit, and the actions that we take. So it's going to take a great deal of personal responsibility in regards to the recovery process, and prepare yourself, because it's the most important thing that you could ever go through, because your life is important and your life is extremely, extremely valuable.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then
they want to follow you, mate. How can they find you?
Well, they can just find us at Survive to Thrive Nation on Instagram, Survive to Thrive Nation, Dane Christisen on Facebook. And again, you can find me at LinkedIn, Dane Christisen, or on the book.
On the book, mate, on
the
Facebook.
Book, which I'll see you. I'll see you there. Mate, it's been really cool. Honestly, we haven't caught up in about 12 months.
It's been ages.
We haven't. I think we're going to do an ice bath now.
We're going to do an ice bath. We may add some clips in there depending on how icy it is. I think it's about 9 degrees when I checked last time.
Mate, us two getting in. I wish we could turn the
camera. You're going to get by yourself, mate. What are you talking about?
We're just holding each other in there.
Anyway, guys, let us wrap this up now. If you've loved this, hit like, hit share, tag anyone that needs to see this. Obviously, if you know anyone going through a tough spot yourself, tag them in this video. And obviously, follow Dane, reach out, give him a follow, give him a like, and we'll see you on the next episode. Take care.